All right, folks, welcome. This is Eric Abbey. We are doing another hour of live Q&A for arbitrage, and so I just want to say welcome and Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining me. I know others are on their way, and we're excited to have questions asked and to do the best we can to give answers. So I hope, assuming you celebrate Christmas, that you had a great day on Tuesday and that you've been having a great week. I know for a lot of us, it just means less work and more time with our families, which is great. That's what we're excited about. And we are here with Just One Dime to talk about arbitrage. So I want to give your attention to the fact that Just One Dime has an arbitrage membership where we take a deep dive into all things arbitrage, selling on Amazon, going wide with lots of different items, and not so much deep, but just making and generating a lot of sales so that we can have margin in our budget through simply finding items at a low cost and then selling them at a higher price on Amazon and enjoying the profit so that we have freedom in our budget. And so I'm a coach with the Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership, and I want to encourage you right from the start to click on the link below and take a look at that membership. If you think it would be great to have $100 or $200 extra each month in your budget, then I think arbitrage is a great way to get started and a great way to make progress towards your goal, which might be to get out of debt, might be to travel, might be to just have a little extra spending money so that you can go out to eat once a week or something like that. And so I want to encourage you to pursue selling on Amazon if you haven't already. Amazon just continues to have mind-blowing numbers. Every year they grow and increase. And every year they seem to give more and more opportunity to third-party sellers like you and me. And so I think this is an opportunity to take advantage of, to really jump on. And I want to encourage you to look into Amazon and what it means to sell on Amazon. And you can do it through arbitrage pretty simply. I'm getting some feedback that you can't see me, which is strange. So I'm going to pause for a second and just see if I can do something about that. Yeah, I can see everything from my end just fine. Well, I'm going to continue to share, and I'm going to continue to encourage you to bring your questions, and we'll see if the video comes back around. I'm not sure why it's doing that. But apparently you can hear me, so I'm just going to continue to share a little bit and see if the video comes back around, and keep taking a look here at the YouTube link to see if there's something I can fix on that. Everything looks the same as I'm used to seeing, so that makes it tricky to troubleshoot because I just don't, there's no obvious problem that I'm encountering here. But you know, Amazon is a great opportunity for you to begin to answer a little bit of margin, put a little bit of margin in your budget. I'm reading Abir saying, I don't answer your questions. Why should you watch? Well, put in a question and I'll do the best I can to answer. I understand that you can't see me. It was working and then it stopped. Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. Everything that I can see says that my connection is good and my camera is working. So I'm not sure. Abir, what's your question? We can still work Q&A as long as the audio is working, and we'll see if the video comes back. And I got a little distracted from what I was trying to say. So I just want to encourage you to take advantage of the prolific marketplace that Amazon has and has become. And that is just true. Every year when they publish their numbers, it's astounding how much business they do. And this is an opportunity for you. I think every generation is given the chance to kind of look about them and see where things are really working and to choose whether or not to jump on board. You've had things like this, the Silk Road and the Gold Rush, and now the internet, which is offering this massive market, and you have a choice of whether or not to get on board. And I'm just encouraging you to get on board, because what I've been able to discover is that through selling on Amazon, you can take simple steps to gain more and more margin in your budget. Good. I'm hearing that the video's back on, and I'm thrilled to hear that, and we'll continue on. So what I'm encouraging you to do is really take advantage of arbitrage, because you can quickly get on board with selling on Amazon. You can get practice. You can get to know Amazon Seller Central. You can set up your Seller Central account. You can make some fairly quick sales, because if you do a good job of analyzing your product and finding out what's going to sell quickly, you can buy a product, ship it into Amazon FBA, and you can sell it within a matter of days. You can sell it in 1 or 2 weeks, and then that payout's going to come back to you, and you can reinvest it in your business. For me, that gave me the ability to build an inventory that eventually led to permanent, prolonged margin. And so it started out with a couple $100 a month, and then it grew to $500 a month, and it grew to $1,000 a month, and I was able to steadily increase the amount of inventory I had and the amount of revenue I generated, and it meant increased amounts of margin for me, which gave me freedom to make life choices that have been a real encouragement to me. And so I've been able to make career changes. I was able to purchase a home, things like that. I want to jump quickly on Abir's question, because he wants me to answer it straight away. So he said he's just got his trademark, but he's not selling anything for the moment. Can I still do brand registry? Yes, you don't have to necessarily be selling anything to get brand registry, though that's not really an arbitrage question, because in the arbitrage world, we don't really deal with trademarks. And so that's one of the nice things about arbitrage, is you're not creating a brand and you're not creating listings. And so you don't have to go through all those paces. But for the sake of answering the question, you can still pursue brand registry. You just need all the things in place that Amazon requires, and they're going to require that trademark number. They're going to require that you have an external website and a few other things that you need to pursue. But you don't have to have an active listing with something for sale. So click the link below and check out Amazon Arbitrage Mastery. It's a good membership. I'm one of the coaches for the membership. And a lot of us are working together to just try to think through how you can be effective on Amazon using the arbitrage model. So with the arbitrage model, you're simply finding a few products at a discounted rate, and you're recognizing if they sell on Amazon, do they sell quickly, and do they sell at a profit that is going to enable you to be, it's going to be worthwhile. You're going to make a profit because the margin is strong enough. And if those two things are true, then you can take advantage of an already existing listing on Amazon that shows precedent for making sales, and you can sell that item and make money. And you avoid the steep learning curve that you are doing if you're trying to brand your own product. Now, many of us do arbitrage and we do private label. Some of us do wholesale as well. There's a mix of ways that you can sell on Amazon. We're not saying you should only do one and not do the other. I'm a proponent of private label. We talk about that each week as well, as far as it being a viable path to take. But arbitrage is often advantageous because you can get started quickly and you can learn to sell on Amazon, and you can make some great gains right away, and you can get experience, and you can grow in your knowledge of Amazon, your ability to sell on Amazon, before you really encounter the steep learning curve of having to come up with your own brand, create your own trademark, generate your own listing and get that listing to rank by running PPC campaigns and that sort of thing. You're not tackling all that at the same time. Let me see what some of the questions are. I noticed Julian, welcome, says, I'm afraid of IP claims with the arbitrage model. How to avoid? Well, you can't avoid IP claims. In other words, what he is meaning is that brand owners can make complaints about intellectual property, and that can be a potential problem for sellers. The reason for that is you've got a lot of sellers that are trying to hijack listings and sell counterfeit products, and they're getting in a lot of trouble. Now, whether you're doing private label or arbitrage, you're going to run into IP complaints, or if you're doing wholesale. So IP complaints are a reality on Amazon right now because Amazon is trying to crack down on people offering knockoffs and hijacking listings and not selling what is actually on the brand. And so IP complaints are prevalent, and they're going to continue to be prevalent because Amazon's trying to tackle this issue. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't deal with IP complaints well. And so we get into that in the membership. We do a deep dive on figuring out how to handle IP complaints, how to respond to them, so that you're dealing with brand owners well, you're showing Amazon proof of purchase, and you're protecting your account from the defects that come with intellectual property complaints that aren't dealt with. So Julian, my answer is you need to deal with each complaint individually, and you need to negotiate with Amazon to prove that what you're selling isn't a knockoff. So the first step is to sell with integrity. So if you're going to sell on Amazon, you need to be selling products that match the listing precisely, that are accurate in their descriptions, accurate in their titles, it's the true brand, and you can prove that you purchased it from a reliable and authentic seller, not, off the street or something like that. And you can, if you're selling with integrity, now you have a platform on which you can speak to Amazon and talk to Amazon about the legitimacy of what you're doing. So IP complaints are a reality that you have to deal with, and they can be a hassle because you have to deal with them in such detail. But that doesn't mean that you should be scared of them necessarily, or that they're going to thwart your business. Let's see what else we got. Winter Flower. When customers return purchases and Amazon asks you to remove the returned items because they were damaged by buyers, do sellers get refunds for these items? No, you do not get refunded for returns. And so what you need to do is have a particular mindset when thinking about returns. And that's what's really important, is you need to recognize that built into your business, everybody who owns a business has built-in losses. And really they're pretty minimal when you sell on Amazon. E-commerce doesn't have a ton of losses. You're not paying an electric bill. You're not paying to have your parking lot plowed. You're not paying with a lot of the things that come with a brick and mortar store. And that's one of the advantages to getting on Amazon and selling in that regard. But returns are certainly a built-in loss that you need to accept when you're selling on Amazon. What I do is every return that I have removed and comes back to my house, I inspect that. And a lot of the removals that I look at that have been returned are resellable. So I sell a lot of shoes, I sell a lot of clothing. Both of those items have, higher levels of returns because people are trying them on and they don't fit. But a huge percentage of what I get back, I'm able to resell. I might have to replace the tissue paper in the shoebox. I might need to refold the garment, make sure it's clean and everything's fine with it, that the tags remain on it. But in many cases they do. I can put it back in a poly bag and send it in to sell. Sometimes you get items and the box is opened and you can't resell it as new, or the item is damaged in some way, and you just need to build in that loss. I sell things on eBay. So if I have an open box item that still functions, I can sell it on eBay, and maybe I'm not making as much money, or I'm still taking a bit of a loss. But once I've gotten a return, I write it off as a loss. It's like a built-in loss for my business. And now if I can generate cash through eBay or through Craigslist even, or every summer we have a yard sale and I push a ton of my stuff that I haven't been able to sell or has been returned. And that's just ways to, add cash revenue to the business. But you really want to think of a return as being a built-in loss. And again, let me direct you to the membership where we talk at length about these sorts of things. And so, if you want to have a real specific plan for how to deal with returns, we're going to discuss that in the membership in significant ways. So check out the link below for Amazon Arbitrage Mastery. I'm seeing other people on. Welcome, Juan Pablo, Deep TV, Salima, Tico 1267. Thanks for joining. Let's continue to get to your questions. I got a couple things I want to show you and talk about as well. But let's see, Juan Pablo, is there any way to know what are considered good ranks in every category? Sure there is. We recommend looking under 2% for your BSR. So you want a bestseller ranking that's low. Remember, bestseller rankings is like golf, the lower the better. And so a BSR of 1 would be the number one best-selling product in that category. So you want to know lower is better. You want to be under 2%. That's typically what we recommend. And that percentage obviously is going to be generated based on whatever the category size is. So if you have a really huge category like books, then a higher BSR is going to fall within that 2%. Part of what Juan Pablo is probably asking is, how do you know what 2% of a given category is? And that's a little tricky to figure out. The best way that I can recommend knowing what that percentage is to subscribe to a Chrome extension called RevSeller. So Juan Pablo, if you use RevSeller, when you pull up RevSeller, it gives you the percentage right there. Now, even RevSeller puts a little comment in there. They have a little caveat to say they're doing the best of their ability to garner reliable research to project what percentage that is. But nobody knows for sure what the size of every category is. And so you're trying to think through, what is the BSR going to reflect in each category? And so we know trends, and you want to apply common sense to those trends. So, for example, we know that the book category, even though Amazon hasn't done the books as the main thing for a long time, it still remains to be this massive category in Amazon. And so, if you encounter a BSR of 500,000 in books, you should look at that as a pretty good BSR. That's a BSR that will allow you to reliably sell, because it's within 2% because the category is so big. Now, if you're in something like baby and it's a much smaller category, 500,000 would be enormous. It would be a huge BSR. I'm not sure I'd recommend a BSR over 40 or 50,000 in the baby category, just because it's a smaller category. So Juan Pablo, there's no real specific way, if you're asking about percentages, to know exactly how many items are in every category. RevSeller is the most helpful approach. And then, your biggies are books, toys and games, home improvement, tools, and you're trying to apply common sense. What a lot of people run into when they run into problems is they see what appears to be an extremely low BSR, but it's in a subcategory. So you scan an item, and for whatever reason, and the app does this sometimes, for whatever reason, the Amazon Seller app gives you the BSR in a specific category like camera. And, you see a BSR of like 14 or something, and it just seems amazing, but you're in a narrow subcategory. So I'm always skeptical of extremely low BSRs. If I scan a product in Home Depot and it tells me it's like a 32 BSR, then my instinct is that it's probably in a specific subcategory, and I need to take note of that. Let's see what else we got. Deep TV, Amazon doesn't accept shoes without box from sellers. Why accept returns from customers without boxes? What can be done about such returns? Well, Amazon's all about their customer service, so they're not going to hold their customers to the same kinds of standards as they are their sellers, because they want sellers presenting high quality products, and then they want to give a lot of room for customers to offer returns. And so there's been a lot of debate in the Amazon world about whether or not you can send in shoes in plain cardboard brown shoe boxes. You can purchase those and you can fold them yourself. And so, a lot of people who sell shoes will repackage returns or shoes in those brown boxes and then just label them with a particular label. The same thing you see on the inside of the box that Amazon sends to you, with an explanation as to what happened to the original box. But then there's been other words from Amazon that say they don't want us sending those in brown boxes. So I personally find it confusing, because I think I'm hearing conflicting things from Amazon. On one hand, they're sending shoes in boxes with an explanation that the original box was damaged. And then you can find places on Amazon where they say that sellers should not send in shoes without the original box. And I don't know how to solve that contradiction for you, other than it does seem like you have room and permission to use the brown boxes with that explanation. And so you could process your returns that way. Again, my advice is a little tentative, because I just know there's been conflicting reports from Amazon as to how to handle shoes like that. But, we need to protect ourselves from getting mad at our notion of Amazon's fairness, because they're always going to treat the customer more highly than they're going to treat the seller. And I can look at forums on Amazon Seller Central where sellers are just railing and railing and railing against Amazon, and they get all sideways about it. And there's been times, believe me, when I've been tempted to rail against Amazon and to get frustrated myself, but it's their prerogative. They're really giving us the ability to use their platform, and it's meant great blessings for me. And so I just want to be careful about how I pass judgment on them. They're a huge seller that's trying to navigate a lot of things. They're trying to hold in tension customers' demands with their own selling ability. Now they've got third-party sellers. Within third-party sellers, they've got brand owners who are private labeling their own products. They've got arbitrageurs, and they're trying to think through how to hold in tension all these different demands. So that's the best answer, Deep, that I have in responding in regard to shoes. And in Amazon Arbitrage Mastery, we talk a lot about shoes. Allan, who's often on the program, that is one of the coaches for Amazon Arbitrage Mastery, he excels at selling shoes. And so we talk at length about how to deal with shoes and how to deal with packaging like this. We're trying to keep up with Amazon's current events. So what we do in the membership is we try to put every week or two, we try to put a new video keeping up with new trends. And sometimes they're hard to track with because we do get contradictory information. But one of the cool things about being a part of a community like Amazon Arbitrage Mastery is it allows you to interact with each other as members and with the coaches and to try to keep up with an entity like Amazon that's changing all the time. And so it's really helpful to have a community like that you can work with and learn from a lot of different angles, a lot of different people who have various experiences. Selima's asking, what are some advantages of doing arbitrage over private label? I think I mentioned that a little bit earlier because arbitrage can be, you don't have as steep a learning curve. If you've never sold on Amazon before, you're having to tackle learning how to navigate Amazon Seller Central, get your account set up, figure out how to list products in your managed inventory. And then all the private label stuff comes with learning how to set up your own brand with logos and trademarks, and then you're doing product research, and then you have to create your own listing. So all the photographs and the description, all of that, the burden is on you, and then the listing has no ranking. And so you've got to figure out how to get your listing to rank so that when people search, they find your listing and will buy your product. And so people are running complex PPC campaigns and trying to garner reviews and doing all this kind of thing. That can really be worth it. That's a great avenue to find. But I'm just saying one of the advantages to arbitrage is you don't have to navigate all that. You can simply tackle learning how to sell on Amazon, set up your account, add listings to the managed inventory page, and find products. And so you could set up your Amazon Seller Central account, have the app on your phone within just a couple days. You could go to the store, scan products, buy them, ship them into Amazon FBA, and they will go live and be ready for sale immediately. And so within like a week or two, you could have items for sale on Amazon, and you're taking advantage of already existing listings. And so that listing and the data that Amazon gives you is demonstrating and proving to you that it's going to sell at this price and it's going to sell at a certain rate. And so you can be confident that what you're buying is going to make money. So I like the arbitrage model because you've got all that data already there. So it lowers the risk and it enables you to get in and sell quickly and to begin to make money. And you don't have to invest as much money up front. You could just have a couple $100s and you could get arbitrage started one step at a time. That's how I did it. I just put one foot in front of the other, buying some products, selling them, seeing that they sold, getting a payout, and then reinvesting that money. And I slowly but surely was able to grow my business, grow my inventory so that my margin increased. So with arbitrage, you have maybe less potential for big money and less potential for passive income because you constantly have to be finding products. But there are definitely some advantages, Selima, to that model, and that's why we like it. And in the best world, you're working both. And so as you're learning and are growing in your ability to market your own brand and create a private label product, you're doing arbitrage. And that's giving you experience to sell on Amazon, and the two can work really well together. When you list a toy with batteries and Amazon puts it under Hazmat review, do you just wait 4 days until it clears, or do you need to submit paperwork? Sometimes you can wait till it clears. My experience is that when something goes under Hazmat review, sometimes it takes months and months. I've got a product that's been under Hazmat review since the summertime. And that's true whether or not you submit paperwork. So I don't typically take it upon myself to submit paperwork, mostly because I'm trying to streamline my business. And if something comes under Hazmat, I'm going to move on. I have had my own items that fall under Hazmat. And basically what I do then is I sell them FBM. You can sell Hazmat items as a merchant, and you just have to ship them out of your own location. And so, again, I don't want to do that a lot, and I can't do it on a big scale. But if I mistakenly buy Hazmat products, or if products that I've purchased go under a Hazmat review, that's what I'll do, is I'll sell them as FBM. I've never submitted paperwork to try to go through all the paces to prove that something should go through a quick review, and that doesn't guarantee that it's going to happen quickly. Deep TV on Seller's app, it's showing a balance of $3,900, but I was paid only $900 by Amazon. What could be the reason? That I don't know, because I've never had a situation like that. They're evidently holding back funds for some reason, and I would want to know what that reason is. So without being able to answer your question, I'd say call Seller Central, open a case and call in and ask them what's going on. They should be able to give an account for that. Or if you go to the upper right-hand corner of Amazon Seller Central and click on your paycheck amount, it takes you to a transaction history, and there should be an explanation in there somewhere of, maybe they're holding $3,000 in funds for some reason, and there should be a reason given there. It should be earmarked in some way. So I would search through Seller Central and try to account for that. And if you can't account for that, I would call. It seems unusual. In 5+ years that I've sold on Amazon, I've always gotten paid my full balance. So I don't know why they would withhold money. What are some resources you use to build your arbitrage business before joining the arbitrage membership with Seth? Well, when I started doing arbitrage, Just One Dime didn't exist, and there was no Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership. So, boy, if I had it to do over again, I wish it did exist, and I got on board right away. It would have helped me in so many ways. So I don't know. I didn't have a lot of resources. I understood the concept of arbitrage, and I got out there and got busy buying stuff. So even though I was tentative when I began, and I only bought a few items, I just got out there and I bought them, and I scanned lots of product. So I'd scan, I'd find a few items that I wanted to invest in and sell, and I'd send them in, and I'd watch them, and I'd see why one sold and why other ones didn't sell. And then I used all my payback to reinvest in the business. And so as I got more experience, I just got a better feel for how to research products. Again, I had nobody teaching me. So my dad and I have always done this together. So he and I have always communicated. And so we've had shared experience between the two of us, but we would have prospered greatly from having a community to actually do that. That's the best thing about Amazon Arbitrage Mastery, is it's like you're doing this business adventure with a whole group of people that are trying to figure out the same things. They're asking the same questions. They have similar experiences, and yet there's enough diversity in their experiences that you can learn from one another. And so I didn't have resources, Salima, and this membership is an awesome opportunity for multiple resources, not just from coaches, but from other members. Course content, use of tools, and an ability to try to tackle ongoing problems with one another and to spur one another on, because there's building your own business is an emotional roller coaster, and there's ups and downs, and it's important to have other people to work with. So I think that's the best reason to click on the link below and take a look at Amazon Arbitrage Mastery. Let's see. Ducks. Should I use insert card on arbitrage or just on my own product? I would say just on your own product. You're not trying to grow reviews on your listing, or you're not trying to promote a brand when you're doing arbitrage, and so there's no reason to put in any sort of insert. The only thing I do is when I sell something FBM, I write a little note on the invoice or the packing slip, and I just say thank you, and I sign my first name, and I think that's a nice measure. Sometimes it gets you, seller feedback that's positive, but no, I wouldn't do it. That would, to me, would be something you'd only do with your own product. New seller, December 1st month. Very cool. Mighty Greg had 3 different products get unlisted after sending it in, and now Amazon has 1,000 or more in inventory, and they now took down my listing. Does that happen a lot? I wouldn't say it happens a lot, And I would want to ask why it happened. Why did they take those listings down? Did they restrict you from selling them? Because restrictions are dynamic, so you can apply and get ungated in certain brands and products, and then Amazon can impose certain restrictions on you. And it's hard to know why that is. Sometimes it's because brands have gone through transparency. Sometimes it's because Amazon chooses to and they can do what they want. Sometimes listings get deactivated for various reasons, like photo quality or other things that you can actually fix and get your listing back up and running. So maybe Mighty Greg, you can give me a follow-up, and we can kind of talk about what the specific issues are regarding that. Let's see. What do you mean no need to create listings with arbitrage? Robert, good question. So private label, you're building your own listing because you have your own product. So, I take a product like a pair of scissors and I brand them. Maybe I actually put my brand on here. And then I put this in a box that has my brand on it. And so now when I list it, there's no existing listing for this new item that I've created and branded. And maybe I pair these scissors with something else. Now I have to take photos of those, put in a product title and description, and create the whole listing and get that listing to rank in order to sell my product, so that when people type in scissors, they see my product. With arbitrage, you're scanning already existing products with your app. I could grab one. So this is something that I've been selling for Christmas, and so you could run across this. You can scan the barcode with your phone, and it will tell you whether or not this item is already listed on Amazon. And with arbitrage, you're trying to find products like this that are already listed on Amazon, so you don't have to create the whole listing yourself. It's there, and not only is it there, but you can look at the BSR and the price of the product and recognize this product has been selling regularly on Amazon. It has precedent to sell, and it's been selling at a certain price. And so, I don't know, I can't remember what I paid for these, but maybe I paid $1.99 for these, and they're selling on Amazon for $14.95. And I can see that they're selling at a strong rate, so I can buy a bunch of these and sell them at a profit. So now I don't have to create the listing. The listing is there. It has the photos. It has the description. More importantly, it has the data telling me that it's already been selling. Now I can just go into Amazon Seller Central, into Catalog, and I can add the already existing listing to my Manage Inventory and sell that product. I just have to make sure that this product matches the listing with 100% precision, that it's a GE brand, that it's the right style and variation and everything like that. Got a tickle in my throat that I can't get rid of. And all that product research to understand BSR and margin, that's really the one of the strongest parts of our membership, where we spend the most time focusing on how to analyze products and make data-driven decisions. So now you're making decisions with confidence because you know this product is going to sell, and you know it's going to sell for a particular price that will make you money. So you're not just using wishful thinking to try to buy products. You're actually purchasing products with confidence that you know are going to sell and make you money. We talk about that at length in the membership to train you as to how to do that. Mighty Greg says IP Alert is a great program. It can be helpful. So if you get IP Alert, it will warn you of brands that often create intellectual property complaints. And so if you want to approach the world of IP complaints with a little more caution, you can use IP Alert, and it might help you avoid buying brands that have a reputation for issuing IP complaints. Albert, how many items do you have in FBA inventory, and how many are you selling per month? I currently have 30 items, selling 2 to 3 per month, still building up. Well, Albert, we're all at different places, and I can remember when I had maybe 30 items in my inventory. And so way to go, and you're making sales. And the important phrase there is you're still building up, which means you have a vision of where you could go. And so if I were you, my goal would be to turn 30 into 300. And with an inventory of 300, now you're going to be selling a lot more per month, and then maybe eventually you can get to 3,000. I think currently I have somewhere around 3,000 to 4,000 items in my Amazon inventory. I don't know exactly. And you ask how many you're selling per month. I can actually do a screen share because I wanted to show you guys kind of my stats from the last week. So this is a snapshot of my sales from the last week. And the reason I wanted to include this is to, one, show that you can make strong sales. It's possible for you. Two, we've been saying the last couple of weeks that you shouldn't view Christmas as your finish line. You know, the retail year follows a pattern, and you really are building up to the fourth quarter, because October, November, and December are by far going to be your strongest selling months of the year. And so if you're kind of building up for the fourth quarter, that's a great way to approach things. Somebody said they just started in December. Well, you can focus on, the next 8 or 9 months are going to be opportunity for you to build that inventory up, so that when the fourth quarter of 2020 hits, you're in a real strong place to take advantage of it. But we've said recently on this program that January is a very strong month as well. In fact, January is the strongest month of the first half of the year. So January is always going to perform better than February, March, April, May, and June, and sometimes even July and August. And I kind of wanted to prove that here, because you can see on Monday, which was Christmas Eve, I was amazed at how many sales I had on Christmas Eve. Over 150 units sold and over $4,000 in revenue. And then it took a dip on Christmas, which is to be expected, but I still did over 2,000 on Christmas Day. So it amazes me on Amazon how many people are purchasing product on Christmas Day and then in the days following. And so all I'm showing you here is that there's a solid week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday was over 2,000, Wednesday was over 3,000, yesterday was over 2,000, and Saturday's a little low because I took a snapshot of this a half an hour before our program started. I'm expecting that that'll climb too. So, to answer your question, who asked that? Albert, how many are you selling per month? This is extraordinary, but in this week I've sold 419 items, and that's not a normal week by far. But I'm consistently selling, 1,500 items a month, and there's just great opportunity there. So let me stop sharing my screen if I can. So my encouragement is that you can do this. Arbitrage is alive and well. And I just wanted to show you, I expect my numbers to hold through January. And then I do think you can anticipate that there'll be a drop in February, March, April. Those months will look a little bit slower. But you can expect to just cruise right through the holidays and into the new year. And people are getting gift cards, and people are spending money. We continue to live in an affluent culture where people love to spend money on Amazon and are taking full advantage of Amazon and making good sales. And that's not going to change just because Christmas has passed. And so if you're really wanting to kill the price on items to move items out of your inventory, I would recommend doing it closer to the end of January, not now, because you're going to see significant sales between now and the end of January. And then you may want to avoid long-term storage fees by making some adjustments as you get towards February. But that's kind of a call that you have to make. Charles, appreciate you being available over the holidays. No problem. Hopefully you're having great holidays. In some ways, I have more time, and I didn't want to cancel doing something like this. So we'll be on next Saturday again at noon Central Standard Time. In arbitrage, do you still need to list and take pictures like FBA? No. Again, I've already explained that, but you don't have to do any of that because the whole listing exists already. And so that's one of the beautiful things about arbitrage is the amount of work you have to do to get your item out on Amazon is very limited. Marcus says, can I do it in Germany? Yes, the EU has an active Amazon FBA system that you could participate in. We have a lot of members in Amazon Arbitrage Mastery. If you check the link below, that are international sellers, tons of them. And some of them do sales within the EU. So if you joined our membership, you'd have people right there in the European Union that you could learn from and partner with as you think through learning how to sell on Amazon. And a lot of international folks that live outside the US sell in the United States on the .com website by setting up all the necessary things they need in the US. They set up a US-based financial account and credit cards and they use prep centers. So they do online arbitrage. They order items, send them to a prep center, and then that prep center does all the necessary work to get your items ready to be shipped into Amazon FBA. And now we have tons of international sellers that are selling that way on Amazon.com and finding success. So yes, there's a number of ways if you live in Germany or other locations that you can take advantage of arbitrage through Amazon. Reeve 1386, how do you get in-depth battery information for a product? I don't know. Other than just thinking through how to go, I would go online and search that product to try to find out the battery information. So, I don't know. I'm not an expert in battery operated toys or electronics or batteries, so I don't know how to answer your question. If I had an item and I was trying to get in-depth battery information, I would go on Google and I would search that product and try to find out what I could learn from the internet, which is kind of how we roll these days. Ryan, if you selling arbitrage, will the product sell more or fast if you use FBA versus seller shipping? In other words, does FBA help sell the product more than seller shipping? My answer to that is yes. I recommend using FBA all the time because the advantages to FBA are legion. So Amazon is going to give you priority over the buy box. You're going to be able to sell the product at a higher price for that reason. And it's way less work for you, and you don't have to pay shipping fees. So I pay minimal shipping fees just to get all my products into Amazon FBA. So I might send in 200 products in a bunch of boxes, and then I'm paying like a quarter per product to ship them in. But now when each item sells, I don't have to pay shipping. If I sell a heavy item, FBM, as a merchant, now I've got to pay to ship that product. And if that heavy item's going from coast to coast, you can kill your whole margin just to ship the product. And so I love that Amazon FBA takes care of that. So there's a lot of advantages to FBA, but yes, your product will sell more quickly using FBA because you'll win the buy box more. And I talk to a lot of people who will not buy products from Amazon if they're not fulfilled by Amazon. They refuse to buy from third-party sellers. And so when they're shopping on Amazon, if they run across a listing where and they can kind of tell on the buy box it doesn't have the Prime logo, or it's coming from a third-party seller, they move on to a different product. And so I think there's still a lot of good reason to sell FBA for that reason. Most people who shop on Amazon don't really recognize that if Amazon's fulfilling it, they might not be ordering from it, or they might not be actually ordering from Amazon. People don't tend to pick up on that. So they just see that they can use their Prime and it's being fulfilled by Amazon and they buy it. So that's probably the biggest reason that I want to be using Amazon FBA is I just think all customers who shop on Amazon are going to be willing to purchase from me. And that's not true if I'm selling as a merchant. Eric in Ohio says, sell your returns on eBay. Yep, I do that. I think that's a good recommendation. I use eBay for a lot of things. Returns, if I get stuck with items, if I'm restricted for some reason on Amazon, or, I make less money on eBay, but it's a way that I can move product that I would otherwise get stuck with. What are your thoughts, suggestions on selling items where Amazon is one of the sellers too? I have no trouble competing with Amazon in the majority of listings where they're present. So I would in no way I don't see Amazon as a competitor and say no. There's a lot of times that I compete with Amazon and they share the buy box, or I can, and I sell, or in some cases I have to lower the price a little bit, but I can still undercut them enough to be able to make sales. So I think if you see that Amazon is a competitor, you just want to approach with caution, because there are rare instances where Amazon will dominate the buy box and they will not allow third-party sellers to win the buy box, and then you're not going to sell. And usually you have to lower your price to a certain level before you can get the buy box, and it might kill all your margin. So again, those instances are rare, so I don't let them completely dissuade me, but I think you want to have a little bit of caution. And maybe you're going to be a little more conservative to only buy products where you have strong margin. So then if you do have to lower the price some to compete with Amazon, you still are making decent money. Good question. Tips for online arbitrage after this holiday season. I don't think it changes. I think you approach online arbitrage. I approach arbitrage the same 365 days out of the year when it comes to scanning product and looking for opportunities. Now, I'm always kind of thinking seasonally. So to me, that's common sense. If I scan an item like this at this time of year, it's going to show a really strong BSR, which is going to be a reflection of the fact that people just bought a ton of Christmas lights because we just had Christmas. And so if I see a huge BSR, I'm not going to assume a seasonal item like this is going to sell great in the next couple months. So that to me is just kind of common sense. But other than that, I don't really have any tips for looking for product now that Christmas has passed. You're still going out there and finding deals. And it could be that there's a ton of Christmas deals because now that Christmas is behind, stores are going to drop huge discounts on Christmas items, and you might want to jump on that. But other than that, you're looking for opportunities to buy discounted products that you can then sell on Amazon at a profit. And that never changes no matter what time of the year it is. Billy J, if I change my store name, my rating and reviews change. That's a private label question that I'm not really sure how to answer. I don't know how changing your store name affects your ratings and reviews. But if you're doing arbitrage, it doesn't matter because you're using listings that have a rating and a review based on some other factors, not your own. Eric in Ohio, winter submit paperwork and call them. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, you're referring to Winter Flower. I was able to get Hazmat approved and was one of 2 sellers on the listing. And how long did that take? I'm curious. Billy J, can I have 2 stores in my Amazon account, different category products? Again, this is an arbitrage Q&A, so I'm just going to keep moving. Are you doing only arbitrage or private label too? Which one is better in terms of time spent and profits? Deep is asking that. That's a hard question. Well, I'm only doing arbitrage. I've played around with private label in the past, so I have done it. I understand how it works, and I may try it again. But currently, I am not doing anything with private label. I'm pure arbitrage. It just seems it fits me better. I've never aspired to go full-time selling on Amazon, and so I like that I can generate additional revenue that creates margin for my life and for my budget. And arbitrage serves everything else I'm trying to do in my life. And so I want to continue working in the job I have. In fact, I'm even thinking about, is there a way I can tailor my business to serve me more so that I can do more of what I want to be doing in my current profession. So I lost my thinking here. So that's why I like arbitrage, and that's why it suits me. So I only do arbitrage, but it's hard to say which one's better because the beauty of selling on Amazon and the beauty of having these different options. So you can do arbitrage, you can do wholesale, you can do private label, and you can dabble in all of them. And you could do 75% private label, 25% arbitrage. You could reverse it, do 75% arbitrage, 25% private label. Try a little private label while your main thing is arbitrage. And so I don't know that one is better than the other. You just need to think through kind of what fits your stage of life, your current situation, and your business model the best, and how do you want to move forward. I think a lot of times arbitrage is a great way to get introduced into Amazon, build a foundation, and then you can try private label ventures out of your arbitrage business and see how they go. And it's not as risky. I do think, one way to answer your question, Deep, is that when you do arbitrage, the risk is low, the time spent is relatively low, and you get an immediate payback. But the payback doesn't have the same kind of potential. If I find a really good product in arbitrage, I usually can only buy 5 or 10 of them, and then once I sell them all, I'm moving on to finding other products. And private label, you might spend a lot more time without seeing any return because you're doing product research, you're establishing everything that needs to be in place for you to launch your brand and to launch your product. And all that time spent isn't seeing an immediate return, but then maybe your potential to find a really hot product that's going to work really well is a lot greater. So, I could see, you could argue both. You could say in a minimal amount of time, you can be making good profit with arbitrage. But then you could argue from the other side and say the time and energy spent in developing your product research and your brand for private label is going to pay benefits when you launch that product and it's successful. You're going to be making way more money, and you're going to have more passive income as a result of the time and energy that you spent. So I just don't want to say that one is better than the other. You want to figure out what suits you the best, and maybe see if you can't do both together to take advantage of the best of both worlds. Hey, Kyle, good to have you with us. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Grace. Welcome on board with us here. Juan Pablo asks another question. Have you had any store experience when you are scanning products? Do you bring your laptop to the stores to use RevSeller? Those are good questions. I've never brought my laptop to the store. That would strike me as maybe being a little odd. Then again, you can do all kinds of stuff and get away with it. So I've never thought to do that because RevSeller maybe has some advantages, but I just think everything you need is on the Amazon Seller Central app. And if you want to access Keepa to get price history, you can do that through your smartphone as well. So I just don't think you need RevSeller when you're doing retail arbitrage. I've had experiences in stores. I haven't had any really bad experiences. I've had a lot of times think I work at the store, so they'll ask me questions about where things are. And sometimes I know where things are because I've spent so much time doing arbitrage in the store. I just answer their question. But, a lot of times people are like, hey, do you work here? And I say no. And then they look confused, but they just thought because I'm scanning things that I'm an employee. I've never bumped into somebody else doing the same thing, though I've had other customers ask, like, can you see online prices through that or something? And I say, yeah, it just helps me see what the price is on Amazon, is usually all I say. And they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. The best experiences I've had as far as store experiences has been building relationships with employees at the store, and usually it's managers. And so I'm not afraid when I run across a really good deal and maybe there's like a large quantity, so there's like 50 of this product remaining, but it's marked clearance. I'll find a manager and I'll just say, hey, I notice you have 50 of these left. If I bought all of them, would you be able to give me a % off the clearance price? And in some cases they do. Even though they've marked it down to $5 a piece on clearance, they say, if you're going to take all 50, I'll give you an additional 25% off. And so now I'm getting it, for less than $4. And you can get to know managers that way, which opens up other opportunities. I've had plenty of experience where I'll talk to a manager and they'll say, well, actually I have more of these in the back. Or they tell me when deals are about to happen. I even have a relationship with a manager who sends me texts when she has boxed up items that she knows I like to sell, and she's got them discounted and wants to get rid of them, and she lets me know. So that's kind of the best experience I've had, is building relationships with people who advocate for you. And that's typically the experiences that I've had. There are some stores and there are some managers that either they're having a bad day or they're just grumpy people, or their underwear is too tight, or there's some problem that they just don't really accommodate what you're doing, and they don't like resellers, and I just move on from those. But in the vast majority of cases, I've had good experience relating to managers and other people. All right, crank through the remaining questions as we close in on our hour. Amanda, FBA, is it really hard to send things to the different places and set up the shipping templates on multiple arbitrage items? It's not. Shipping into FBA is really quite simple. The Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership, which is linked below, is a great way to learn how to do all this. But it's pretty straightforward. You go into Manage Inventory, select the items you want to ship, and then it walks you through the whole process. And Amazon's going to decide where they want you to ship products to various fulfillment centers. And in a lot of cases, they'll have you ship to a distribution center, and then they distribute the products all over the US, and you don't even know where they are or where they're going. So they take responsibility for a lot of that. When I ship, I typically try to ship between 100 or 200 items a week. And when I'm doing large numbers of items like that, I just use the spreadsheet that Amazon provides for you through the shipping queue, and I upload that spreadsheet, which is really easy to fill out, and then you don't have to manually do it with every single product. So there are ways that you can approach that, and in the membership, as with all topics, we go deep into all these different things. But no, it's not difficult. And the benefit is so much greater. There is some work in getting it shipped in, but then once Amazon has it, they do all the work for every individual item, which is what has enabled me to scale. I couldn't sell 419 items this week and process those all myself. It would be impossible. But FBA is doing it. It's all just running while I'm spending time with my family. Aaron Clay, what's your process to get approved to sell restricted items? It's very simple. The more you sell on Amazon, the more opportunities you're going to have to get restrictions lifted. So find what you can sell as much of it as you can. And then every time you run into a restriction, apply to have that restriction removed. And if they tell you you need to submit invoices, 9 times out of 10 in the world of arbitrage, we don't have the invoices they're looking for. A retail store receipt will not be sufficient. And so when I see that requirement to send in invoices, I just take it as a no. We're not going to lift the restriction. But there are times when you apply to have the restriction lifted and you get automatically approved. And the second it takes for the next page to come up, it says, congratulations, you've been approved to sell. So Aaron, it's a simple process. Every time you run into a restriction, try to get that restriction lifted by going through the application process. But when they require you to send in paperwork, don't do it unless you have a special relationship with a supplier. Eric, people are always using gift cards on Christmas Day and after. That's true, and I think that's a huge reason why my sales were good this week. And it's another reason why I'm just encouraging you not to view Christmas as your finish line, but to extend that to the end of January. So yeah, gift cards, returns, we're having to deal with returns this time of year, but you can benefit from them because if they might return your product and then come buy mine to replace it. And I don't know, I think people, they don't get what they wanted for Christmas. They go buy it for themselves. Maybe they get cash for Christmas and they spend that, or they get a product that requires an additional product to complement it, and they go and buy it from Amazon. So there's good reason to see sales continue to do well. Haley, I am not an Amazon seller yet. How many products do you send in at one time to a warehouse, and how often? So I just mentioned that I try to send in like 100 to 200 items a week, but that's because I've been doing this a long time and I've generated momentum. I know where to find opportunities. The more products you can send into Amazon FBA at a time, the lower your per item shipping cost is, which is why I like to do a large volume. Because if I send in 200 items, the cost to ship each item is like a quarter. If you only send in 20 products and Amazon sends it to 3 different fulfillment centers, you might spend as much as $1 per item to ship to FBA. It's still pretty low because Amazon uses partnered carrier and they've got a deep discount. But the answer to your question, Haley, is really you can do anything you want. You could send in 10 items to the warehouse as soon as you get them, or you could wait till the end of the week and try to accumulate closer to 20 items, or you could wait 2 weeks and maybe collect 50 items and send those all in. You just have to remember, if you wait 2 weeks before you ship them, you've lost that time to be selling your product on Amazon. And so you're trying to kind of weigh and balance. If I send them in right away, maybe I don't have as many. It's going to be a little more expensive to ship them, but then they're going to go live quickly. Whereas if I wait to get more items, then I'm not going to be able to ship as quickly. And that might mean loss of sales. So you just got to weigh those. And when you get started, I think you just accept it's going to be a little more expensive to ship, and you still want to be getting products in. And as you grow your ability to find opportunities and get more and more confidence, maybe you'll feel better buying 50 items a week and shipping them in large quantities like that. Let's see, anything left? What's the best way to get feedback? I think just do a good job selling quality products, Eddie. I don't really do anything to solicit feedback. I try to do a good job. But I don't reach out to people to try to get feedback. I avoid selling items that are going to get negative feedback. You'll get positive feedback if you do enough sales. You want to try to avoid negative feedback. So don't buy items that have been returned and maybe are likely to do a bad job. Don't make mistakes. So I've gotten negative feedback because I put, when I put the FMSKU on products, I put the red if I have two products, one's red, one's blue, one time I put the FNSKU for the blue one on the red one and vice versa. So both people ordered, the one who ordered the red got the blue, the one who ordered the blue got the red, and it was my mistake, and you're set up for negative feedback if you do that, or if you leave a big clearance sticker on the product. So just being real careful to prep your product so that the customer is going to be very satisfied when he or she receives it. I think that does it. We're past the 1 o'clock hour, and we've had another good time of questions and answers. I hope this is helpful. I hope that, maybe as you're thinking through New Year's resolutions, one of them is, I'm going to get started doing this. I'm going to take action so that I'm actually moving towards creating margin in my life. You will not reach your goals by watching YouTube videos. You can't just kind of sit back in your office and think about how this possibly could work and get anywhere. It's not going to do it. You need to act on what you're learning, and you need to take the risk and actually get out there and try it. So click the link below, join our membership, and we'll stimulate you to get out there and sell, and we'll give you the tools you need to make money so that you're getting payouts right away. Maybe one of the best resolutions you could make for the new year is you're going to sell on Amazon, you're going to take advantage of the membership, and you're going to make it work, and you're going to create that margin for yourself, and you're going to be excited to see 2020 be a year unlike any other where you've been able to actually start and establish your own business. So let me encourage you to do that. Have a great new year. I will see you here next Saturday at noon Central Standard Time, and it will be a new year, and we'll talk about opportunities that you can have in 2020. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, and thanks for tuning in.